Welcome everybody to Changing of the Hip Hop Guards podcast. I'm Sincere. It's my partner Uncle E, and tonight we have the very special pleasure of speaking with ODM, one dope Mexican of a lighter shade of brown. Thank you so much for the opportunity, sir.
Thanks for having me, brother Sincere, Uncle E, man. What's good with it?
Chill.
Yes, sir.
Before we get into this interview and your history, just overall, man, how you been doing? How you feeling? 2024. What's been going on with you?
Oh man, you know how it is. It seems like getting more work to have on my plate. I don't know why. It's just I'm supposed to be relaxed, kick back right now, man. But it seems like having kids at an older age, and then it's just like the hustle really kicked in. So I can't complain though, man. We grinding, man. We got the podcast popping, touring. XYZ, God is good.
No doubt. Just to go back a little bit in time and then work our way up to 2024. For those who may not remember, take us back to where you're born and raised.
Born and raised Cali boy, SoCal, man. About 15 minutes from the beach, little spot called Santa Ana, which is located in Orange County out here in Cali. I grew up there my adolescent years up until high school. And then there's where I moved to Riverside, which is about another 35 miles east, not too far from where I was at. And I finished out my high schools there. And there's where I met my partner for the very first time, DWTX. And we formed the group Lighter Shade of Brown.
What year was this about?
We connected in '89. That's when we were put together, manager.
Okay. Now, were you rhyming previous to this? What were you into before meeting your partner?
Man, growing up in the '80s, hip hop was all around me. I first got introduced to hip hop through, I think my first song that I ever spit was Lottie Dottie, man. Classic, timeless. Slick Rick, Dougie Fresh. You have the show on the other side of the vinyl. If you know, you know. I know my man Uncle E got all, or who got it? Since y'all got the vinyl back there, so y'all got the but it was New York, man. New York hip hop just made its way to the West Coast, brother. And I was, 8th grade, like I said, 7th grade, listening to that, walking to school, rapping Lottie Dottie, like I said, until I got introduced to LL Cool J. That's when the radio was out, that album, and just the greats, man. And before you know it, here comes the very first West Coast group onto the scene, which was, to me, prior to NWA. I was going to say NWA, but we had Toddy T and Mixmaster Spade, and salute to those cats. LA Dream Team. We're all part of the West Coast phenomenon here. I'm sure you're familiar with 93.5, 1580 AM K-Day, which was the West Coast hip hop station out this way. And that's what we were listening to. That's what fed our hip hop at that time. So there's where I was able to go to the stores, go to the swap meets, and pick up these cassettes that I heard. It was just this new, like I said, phenomenon, man. And I just took liking to it. That and breakdancing on the weekend.
So you mentioned breakdancing just now. So before you started dabbling with music, as far as becoming an artist, an MC, or putting your pen down to the paper, did you participate in other elements like breaking or graffiti? Can you talk a little bit about that?
You know what, Uncle E, man? No, I dibble-dabbled in a little bit. Breakdancing, I enjoyed it. I loved watching it, seeing it. Was I the greatest at it? Nah. The most I could do, man, was spin on my hand and maybe spin on my back. That was it. A couple on the head, head spin. But I tell you, that's what like break-in movies like that, Beat Street will, get you to do as a kid. You can imagine I'm only 13 and I'm seeing this. And never got the egg roll. I don't know what they called it then, but in our neighborhood, it was called the egg roll, the windmill.
Okay.
I could never get that down, and there's like gave up. I said, man, this ain't for me. If y'all can't do the windmill, I ainain't ready to battle nobody. So I picked up the mic, man, and I said, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I was a great writer when it came to just putting lyrics together. I started at a young age. I said, this is something that I could do. Graffiti, I never got into, brother. My penmanship, to be honest with you, was like chicken scratch. So I didn't even step forth and fuck up any canvas at that point. So I didn't know if I can cuss on this. Man.
No, you
It's okay. It's okay. But did you have a chance to correct me if I'm wrong? I don't remember now if it was Boogaloo Shrimp or what's the other guy? I forget his name now.
Ozone, Shabadoo.
Didn't you have the pleasure of either meeting them or they used to live close by you or something like that?
You know, they did. They did live close by. They lived in Carson. I know. I talked to Michael Chambers more, Boogaloo Shrimp, later after the group, already was established. But as a kid, nah, I would just see them on the big screen, man, and I was just a big fan of them. My mother actually got a chance to meet Shabadoo once. She went out one night. And she happened just to be at this nightclub, and she came back with an autograph for me and said, "Look who I am." I said, "Oh man, I lost my fucking mind." I said, "Oh man," I'm like, because you a kid, you don't get to go many places when you're younger, and just your mom brings you home this gem. I was like, "Yo, this is dope." And then lo and behold, later on in my rap career, I never got a chance to meet Shabadoo, but Michael Chambers and we crossed paths when I was doing radio, probably maybe I want to say, guessing maybe 8-9 years back. He put out his documentary. I don't know if you guys got a chance to peep that, but around that time he came to the radio station I was working at. I interviewed him, and he just sat down, man. The conversation was dope. He just, off air is where the good stuff usually is. And, he started breaking down how he would choreograph Michael Jackson and taught him how to moonwalk. And Michael, just that whole, all this shit that I was watching as a kid, at the Caponino, to all of that, and meeting Pup and Taco, and which I never got to meet, but that was like his brother. And just hearing all the stories, man, of that era, his era, and me coming up, that shit was dope.
Can you do me a favor before we get a little bit more deep into as far as your career and everything? Can you do us a favor and explain? I'm aware that, for example, in LA, there's a different type of culture when it comes to, you have, like, for example, the Mexicans. You had, like, it was kind of a little bit of a divide in a way, especially probably like in the 80s, going into the 90s. What did you have to look to as far as for you to identify with when it came to the music? You mentioned you listened to people like Dougie Fresh, Rakim, but when you were starting to say, I want to rhyme, I want an MC, did you have anybody within your community that served as somebody like, okay, I have a Mexican background, I love this thing they're calling hip hop and rhyming, but how am I supposed to come out? You know what I mean? How am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to sound like or rhyme like?
That's a great question. And I'll tell you, at that point, rhythm, rap had no color. It was no color lines. If you were brought up in the hood, as we call it out here, man, I had blacks in my neighborhood. I had whites sprinkled. I had Mexicans, blacks, sprinkled, Asians.
Right.
But we were all brought up in the same streets, brother. So with that being said, as a kid, I grew up around hip hop. If it wasn't, on my TV screen, silver screen, watching these classic hip hop movies, it was in my neighborhood in a Nissan truck, Sentra on fucking Dayton's, you feel me? Or in the Lolo 6.4s, you know what I'm saying? The homies was bumping that shit, and you would hear that shit late at night go through your neighborhood, and you're like, damn, homie got the new or whatever. It would be at the swap meets, you know what I'm saying? At the Rhodium swap meets, or in LA, there was another Compton Indoor, you know what I'm saying? And there's where we would get our cassette tapes, our mixtapes, and bring them home. So I was part of the culture as a Latino, Mexicano, just like my brother. My brother was next door. His name was Sean. He was black.
Okay.
My other brother, his name was Sean. Across the street from me, he was white.
Gotcha.
Well, we were all like, just united, brother. It was just all under one thing. To answer your question, though, like I said, other than the artists I already mentioned, I'll tell you how I got my start, though. When I was in middle school, I think I was in 8th grade, and I came to school. And here's where I really took liking to it. I had a guy by the name of Rashawn, another guy named my boy Greg, and another homie named Box. And they called him Box because he was 350 pounds, and that's all he did. Was like, if you think of the fat boys, you think of the Box. That was fucking Box of our time.
Right.
So he was doing the beats, and these two cats, Greg and Rashawn, they were rapping in their circle. And I always make reference to like Biz Markie Vapor's fucking video. Remember when he walks up and he says, like, yo, can I be down? And they treated me like a wet food stamp. That's kind of how the vibe went. Like I literally, I knew the cats from school. They were in my class, and I walked up to them one day when they was rapping. And but when I approached them, I noticed that when I requested, I said, yo, what's up, man? I like, I want to be down. Like, well, what do I got to do? And they was like, they looked at, and mind you, they were all black, all three of them brothers. So they looked at me, but they didn't mention race at me. They said, hey, ain't rap, man, and whoop-de-whoop. And what makes you think you could do? All right, bet, man. If you think you could spit a flow, whatever you got, what it takes, go home, write yourself a 16 or whatever, come back tomorrow to school and bring that shit on paper, and we'll hear what you got. Bet. So I went home, wrote my verse, came back, practiced that shit. Came back the next day, like they said, man. And we went over to the restroom because they always had the restroom had more reverb in it. Yeah. So Box hit a beat and it was like go. And then man, I spit my rap, bro. And after that, they were sold. I guess I did something right because they were like, all right, man, you dope. You in the clique, whatever that meant. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I'm rapping with them at the junior high's dance. It was a Valentine's Day dance. Nice. And the DJ, was in there. They had back in the day, that's when they had the big ass top freaking Cerwin Vega woofers stacked up all the way to the top. DJs would come in, that's what battle the DJs, they would do their thing. You have some people breakdancing, and we were the MCs. And the DJ, I remember he threw on Pee Wee Herman's dance, or what's it called?
The Pee Wee dance, yeah.
Pee Wee dance. He threw that instrumental on. I'll never forget, man. We standing there, and I remember I put on my back in those days, when Beastie Boys came out, they made the very popular, Volkswagen fucking emblem we used to rock.
Yeah.
So we would jack those shits from our teachers. We pop them off the cars, man. Next day, we'd rock them on our chains. I remember I had one of those on, man. And they used to call me Little Mike D. Because, I was lighter skinned, and matter of fact, we ended up after that we did a lip sync contest. It was a talent show in the auditorium, and me, my buddy Luis, and Fernie, man, we did the Beastie Boys. We ended up doing that, and Greg and Rashawn ended up doing Just Ice Latoya.
Nice.
Yeah, but anyway, those are memories, bro. But there's where it started. You know what I'm saying? But it was never a race thing, a hip hop thing. I think that I didn't come across that until later, when after I got signed, and that was literally maybe 3 years later.
Gotcha.
Now you talked about meeting your partner around 89. What conversations did you guys have as far as the direction you guys wanted to pursue?
So prior to meeting my partner, I was in high school. That's when I moved out to Riverside, like I said. And I started rapping, doing my thing, lunch benches. I had stopped for a while because I wanted to, I was playing baseball at the time. That's what I wanted to do, be a baseball player. So I was working my way up. And then there was a female who got transferred over from another school because she wasn't, she was always getting into trouble. So they moved her over here. And she was a rapper, and I knew exactly who she was because I just picked up her vinyl 2 weeks prior. And I said, yo, I was like tripping, man. I go, yo, I know who you are. She goes, what's up? I go, man, you're Big Lady K, man. I just bought your vinyl 2 weeks ago. She was like, yeah, what's up? I go, man, that shit's dope. First lady on Priority Records. And you could see her name, Big Lady K. And she was signed to Priority. And, you look at some of the Easy E videos, Easier Said Than Done, all of those, like she's in there. But yeah, she had a song called Don't Get Me Started, Big Lady K. And that's the vinyl that I picked up. And anyway, long story short, I hit her up like any other MC. Like, yo, what's up, man? You got a record out? I'm trying to be put on, man. Introduce me to your manager, right away. And she was like, the test came again. All right, well, let me hear you bust. I was like, all right, cool. Boom. I just started, at this time I'm already writing, man. I'm like fucking 4 notebooks in of fucking raps and verses.
Okay.
I didn't know what the fuck verses and hooks were and bars and all that shit. It was just long out drawn raps. And she was like, yo, she goes, you dope, man, for a Mexican. I go, well, whatever that means. Hey, so what's up? You gonna hook it up? And she was like, all right. So she walked me over to a payphone at school, and she called up her manager, and she was like, yo, I got this dude here, man. He wants to, I think he's pretty fresh. Once you listen to him. So I rap for him, man, and right away, instantly, it was just like that, bro. That's the way shit got around, was word of mouth. And that's the way my manager was able to, get my contact. And next thing you know, man, I'm doing demos at the crib as a solo artist. The way I met DWTX, and I'll give you the short story, is we were trying to work myself as a solo artist. My manager was trying to get me out as the first Mexicano rapper, if you will, on Wax CD from the West Coast. At this time, mind you, Meloman Ace was already out with Mentirosa. Salute to my brother. Kid Frost had just came out with La Raza. And we were just bugging. We're like, oh, man, we wanted to be that one mainstream, right? Mind you, there was hip-hop groups already on the underground. There was always underground. But no one really mainstream that hit that radio. So Kid Frost came out, and my manager just kind of switched ideas. He was like, yo, he went to my producer, Jammin' James, and was like, what am I going to do, man? And he was like, man, it should be easier to get him a deal now. I mean, if Kid Frost is having success with it, and Meloman Ace, you already seen what he's done. Like, dude, just keep shopping them. And he was like, why don't you just form a group? So now we're in the search for another artist. My DJ at the time, DJ Fabe Love, he's on the third person on the cover of our album, Brown and Proud, first album. He knew a homie that he went to school with. Now, I was introduced to Fabian from Cliff, which is my manager. Very important name, Cliff, my manager. Fabian knew Bobby. So Bobby came in the circle there, and there was the 3 of us. So we were put together. We were from the same city, but just different sides of the track. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
West side. I was from the south side of Riverside. And so we got together, and he said, look, what's what we're gonna do? We're gonna film a group, man. We to the races now. We're gonna try to get you a deal with these cats popping. I think we can make it happen. Bobby, rest in peace. My partner, he knew how to spit, he knew how to flow. He was more of a cover, if you will, rapper. He would cover a lot of like songs like Heavy D. He would just mimic Heavy D and Ice-T and all these different songs out there, Public and Chuck D and so on and so forth. And but we was like, well, can he write his own shit? Like, you know what I'm saying? And sure enough, bro, we would go to the studio, we'd write, and we ended up recording a 3-song demo. and we were off to the races, man. But the problem is I was getting impatient because it here already like a year and some change that went by, fast forwarding and being told constantly, yeah, we got a meeting with so and so, we got a meeting with Warner Brothers, we got a meeting with Capitol, and this and that is looking good for you as a solo artist. I was hearing all this, but I was like, shit, man. See, to this day, I get impatient. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody tells me something, let's make. I'm ready to move now, but you got to realize, I'm young. I'm being told this. I'm being fed this shit. He's making it seem like I might have a record deal tomorrow. So I would go home. I would go to school, man, and just woof that at on campus. Like, yeah, man, I'm coming out with a record, and yeah, we got a meeting with Warner Brothers and this and that, and the shit wasn't happening. So everybody at school was clowning my ass. Like, man, when I see your ass on MTV, man, then come holler. But we just woofing tickets right now. So I was like, all right, bet. So I was already, just on to the next thing, man. I had a little girlfriend out the way. I said, man, I'm going to go over here and go and chill with her. Well, one day we had studio time, and my manager was like, couldn't get a hold of me because I wasn't picking up. And he came all the way from LA, which is about an hour and a half drive to come find me. Couldn't find me, pissed off. I just didn't want to go. I was burnt out. I was, whatever. And he was like, man, fuck this. Fuck Robert, ODM. We're gonna pursue a DTTX as a solo artist. He just had it, I guess. So then they start shopping DTTX by himself. Round the labels, had meetings. The thing about DTTX is if you listen to his voice on the earlier days, my man sounds like Eazy-E. If you listen to our album, a lot of people are like, yo, is this Eazy-E? Like, like if you listen to El Barrio, man, on the Proud album, my side of the road, yo, just like Cam. And he's rapping, and like I said, he came from like that old mimic, type rap, and his voice, he just had that easy voice. But that's where it went against him because a lot of the labels were like, yo, why are we gonna? Because my manager was like, he's like a Mexican Eazy-E, but they weren't having that. We already got Eazy-E. Like, why are we gonna sign? There's already Eazy-E. Why are we gonna sign somebody who's? So he had issues. Next thing you know, we made amends, and we ended up getting back together and had to go around, man. We created a 3-song demo, started shopping it again, and before you know it, within a year, I think it was, we finally got signed to Quality Records.
Was there any other labels that were interested before Quality, and what was it about Quality that made you guys sign with them?
I think Warner Brothers. It came down to Warner Brothers. I couldn't tell you what. I wasn't in those meetings. Obviously, I was letting the manager do what a manager does and go work the deal. But Priority was on the table as well. Priority actually was the one. They almost did, but they was just like, why are we going to sign them? We already have an Eazy-E. Otherwise, it would have been shit, man. It would have been a done deal. And then Warner Brothers, I don't know, man. And these are major labels if you think about it. Well, Priority was. I wasn't sure Priority was Priority a major?
I think kind of, somewhat
distributed through. But I know Warner Brothers definitely was. Took us to Capitol, they took us to Atlantic, and they all kind of just passed. Came to Quality Records, and this was an independent label. This was more of a mom and pops, and the difference between a major and an independent is there's more hands-on with an independent label.
Right.
I'm saying you don't have 50 people on your roster just waiting to be pushed out. You know what I'm saying? And you can walk into the A&R's office. You could walk into the president's office. The CEO. Shout outs to Russ Regan. He's the one that gave us a try. Russ Regan. So he signed Barry White back in the day. Neil Diamond, back in his days.
Right.
And I'm hearing all this. I'm seeing these plaques on the walls. I'm going, damn. There was no rap on there until they start signing more raps. Our label mates ended up being Timmy T, He had that One More Try joint. South Central Cartel. They were
Okay.
they signed them, and they signed us. And there was a couple others on there. They got a little regional status, but nothing too crazy. But the biggest artists on there, I would say, would be Timmy T, us, and then South Central Cartel on Quality Records, which was distributed through Pump.
Good question. How did you meet your DJ?
Fabian, the first DJ, well, because we had a couple of them.
Was Jam and James?
Okay, Jammin' James was our producer. I met him
Producer.
beginning, and beginning when I was still in high school.
Right.
When Cliff, my manager came down with Jammin' James, and I was introduced to him. He brought his full track to my bed, to my house, and we rocked the demo right there. Like I said, we were in my bedroom, and then my grandma and I was living with my parents, and they were like, "Man, keep that shit in your room, just like everything else." So, record a 4-track, me, James, and Cliff. My demo's right there, but Jammin' James was actually ended up being the producer for Sunday Afternoon, Latin Active, basically all our hits and homies.
So then Bobby became the actual DJ of the group?
Bobby, no. So it was
I mean, not Bobby, I'm sorry, Fabian.
Fabian actually, yeah, because we needed a DJ.
So he became the DJ. Okay.
In those days, you needed a DJ. Like, it was just gonna be us rappers. Like, we needed, we want to rock, Run DMC. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was very important to have that. Critical to have a DJ at that point. So Fabian was our DJ / producer. He also worked on the album as well. Okay. But what happened to him is, if you notice, after the first album, during that time, our first 2 singles dropped. We had a falling out with Cliff. Okay. There was just, typical shit, money being missing, not getting paid what we're supposed to get paid, and this and that. And here we are, we're just like, man, it was one too many times, right? Just shit wasn't adding up. So we saw some other grass on the other side. There was a brother named Bobby Ross Avila. He was from the West Coast, right from our area. He had been on tour opening up for New Kids on the Block. Bobby Ross Avila, in 2024, now he's part of the Avila brothers. Him and Izzy, who are major Grammy producers for Usher, Janet Jackson, under the wing of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So back then, he was under Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis on tour with them, and he already had songs popping on the radio. So anyway, his dad was their manager, and he had offered to manage us. So I was like, this dude's doing something right. He's got his kids here, X, Y, and Z. So Bobby and I and Fabian jumped management ships. So now, during that time, that little time we spent with Bobby Ross's dad, our group just started bubbling. We were just sizzling, man. We was popping to the point where we were getting more radio stations added, our records all across the map, to where now it became a situation with blood thicker than water, because his son wasn't really popping like that. And we were just taking off. And he had some creative ideas that he wanted for our group that we wasn't really down for. He wanted us to wear these like funny ass suits, Century 21 real estate suits and shit. Remember in those days, they would wear the suits with the fucking patent leather shoes, dancing and shit. And, we were trying to figure it out, man. We were a new group, so we didn't know really what lane we wanted to go, So, but we did know is, look, man, we started Cap Rockers, man. We wear, what I'm saying, sports gear. We were the what do you call it? The overalls, man.
Right.
That was popping at that time. I go, I don't want to be in these Century 21 suits rapping. And so we just started seeing it falling out. It wasn't of our taste. And Cliff gave us a call one day, and he said, "Hey, man, you guys come back, bro. There's This is what I got lined up for you. I got a Coca-Cola commercial lined up for you guys. I've got a movie soundtrack lined up for you guys. You know, for Mi Vida Loca. I got this and that. We was like, let's go. This is what we need.
Mm.
So we went back to Cliff. Cliff was the founder of Lighter Shade of Brown. He was black, and I say that very, you know, I just to put it out there, because here we are, black man, putting together a Latino group.
Right.
And he had a vision. And remember, I said earlier in the conversation where it was about putting together, assembling a group that surrounded and was about our culture, the Chicano culture here, West Coast. When he came to us, he basically founded the group, made the name for the group, Lighter Shade of Brown, and said, look, I want you to write a song like Will Smith and Fresh
The
Prince.
summertime type
I
of.
want you to write the summertime joint because that song was popping. But I want you to put it in your words in a Chicano, you know, version.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, bet. Chill. All the vatos in the park stay. Yeah, and there's where we came with Sunday afternoon. Okay, and now he says, look, I'm not trying to make y'all political, but I'm trying to bring awareness to your gente, to your people, man. This is what I want you to do. Because at the time, if you remember, a lot of the rappers, Brand Nubian, De La Soul, no gold chains. It was all black on proud, if you remember.
Right.
There's a lot of other groups out there, too.
Yeah, Jungle Brothers. Yeah.
So he was like, yo, this movement, y'all take it and run with it. Me, I'm a battle rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I know about, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I grew up with no color lines. You know what I mean? But this is what he had wanted. I said, I bet. Let's get it. It's not hurting nobody. It's promoting, you know, awareness. And, okay, fuck it. Let's get it, man. We brown and proud. I'm Lighter Shade of Brown, you know. And so we go to the library, look up Pancho Villa, look up Emiliano Zapata, you know what I mean? Look up all these revolutionary leaders. Chill at the park on a Sunday afternoon, get Latin active in the club, chilling. What's it like in Novadio? You know what I'm saying? And not to the point where we were gangbangers, because we were far from that, but we grew up in the hood just like everybody else did. So we knew that. But being with Cliff, there's where we just, you know, continued back on, and we ended up dropping album number 2, which was Hip Hop Locals and Laying in the Cut. Did we do that with him? No, we didn't do Laying in the Cut. We did one more album with Cliff, and that was Hip Hop Locals before we switched management again.
So for your debut album, how many singles had dropped prior for that album to come out?
Great question. When we got signed for a single deal with an option for an album. So basically that's telling us in a nutshell, if your shit pops, guess what? We don't sign you, man.
Right.
So sure enough, we put out TJ Nights. That was our very first single. And that had like some regional love, you know what I mean? I think that got as far as Texas, Southwest, if you will, which are predominantly a lot of Latinos. And a big promoter, if you will, Lowrider Magazine came into play and put us on their tour. A lot of the colleges had a lot to do with our promotion as well. We would do a lot of the Mecha clubs. We'd go colleges, all of university, and perform, man. Colleges were huge. College radio was huge support for us. So, yeah, we had TJ Nights out, really working that single. We had sent the other 2 songs to radio, and they were like, yo, you need to drop this joint, like ASAP. And that was called Latin Active. And that would ended up being our second song. And that got us out there a little bit more. And, you know, back in those days, if your song wasn't cracking, then you didn't get no music video. Because music video back then were just, you know, they were up there in price, man. It wasn't like it is now. So if you charted, some labels would say you got to chart before you get a video. But then we were like confused because like, how can you chart with no video? Like we still need a visual. But, you know, the label, like I said, they were smaller. They didn't really have that many, you know, much funds. But here we are. We're just starting to blow up. And Latin Active came out. We ended up getting a video, a little small budget. I think it was like 5,000, 5 racks for TJ Nights. Shot that in TJ. Our second video was Latin Active. Shot that in a club. And then we dropped Sunday Afternoon after that.
Okay. Was the whole album complete by this time, or are you still dropping? Is that the first 3 singles before the album was complete?
Album was completed.
Okay.
Completed, yeah. I'm trying to remember if we. Yeah. So, okay. I'm getting the 3 singles. It's crazy because I'm trying to remember what was on our actual demo. Let me back up. I know TJ Nights was one of them. We had El Vadio on there. And then the third one I want to say was Latin Active. Sunday Afternoon wasn't even on that demo.
Okay.
And they were sold by it. That's what it is. If I can remember, I'm trying the best I can here. But yeah, we definitely got signed after that, and there's where we just went and we had to hurry up and finish the album. I do remember that because our singles were popping.
How did life change for you when On a Sunday Afternoon dropped?
Oh man, like just TJ Nights and Latin Active on steroids. You know what I'm saying? Like put together. When that song came out, you never know what's going to be the one, bro. Like you could sit there in the studio and try to pick a song out and say, yeah, man, this one's going to be the one, man. It's going to take us on top. We're going to get on TV and boo. And that one really don't crack. And then the one that we when we dropped Sunday Afternoon, the label was like, yo, this is a single. But before we put this out, see, the original Sunday Afternoon did not have a chorus. There was no Shiro on there. There was no hook. We released an album, a cassette and CD, with an original version with Sunday Afternoon with no hook on it. Latin Active was different as well. We switched up a couple of elements on the music for Latin Active, both actually, Latin Active and Sunday. They were just samples. We had live players come in and remake it. And because to the label, like, this isn't radio ready. We need to get these singles radio ready. And since the album release was so close to the single releases, they said, fuck it, we're just going to go repackage the whole album and put these new remixes, versions of Latin Active and Sunday Afternoon on the cassette. That's what happened. So when Shiro got on the songs, Shiro was already singing. She was a singer on Latin Active. When she got on Sunday Afternoon, and then we added that saxophone in there, oh, man, it just took it to another place. I mean, we was everywhere at this point. I remember being, in a caravan, Astrovan, going across the state, backpack cassettes and CDs, man. And we jump into Chi-Town. We go to Chicago, man, roll through there. And I remember hitting up all the schools and high schools and just doing this legwork, man, groundwork, passing out cassettes here or there, man, passing out flyers and just promoting us. But college radio, again, thanks to them, they're the ones that really jumped on and helped us out in those markets to where the mainstream radio stations weren't playing, like the B96s, we had to really improve that to make some noise, on other markets, to get played on some of these major markets.
That album dropped in 1990. What kind of response and feedback did you guys get?
The Brown and Proud one, I was already waiting, man. The fans were waiting for it, especially on the here in the Southwest. And I just remember, like I said, it was all about just legwork, man. And we was in Hollywood one time, and they used to cruise on the boulevard, and we were just handing out cassettes, and we throw them in every truck, every Suzuki Samurai, you name it, man. Just boom, 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 boom. The whole fucking town the whole street was bumping our shit. We can hear our intro, man. And it was just all the way live. And we'd go to different states and cities and just do that. But I think that was a big reason why we blew the fuck up. Not only that, we started a wave, man, mainstream wave, if you will. Latinos in hip hop, they had been around already. I learned later on in the 80s. I mean, Frost was out in 84, 85. And so, but I think it was just bubbling super quick. that the response was, yeah, man, it was there.
Quick question. So you talked about managers skipping that manager, going to another one, coming back, demos being signed, blowing up, right? At what point did you get to tell those kids back on campus, like, hey, it finally happened? Did you ever get it? Because I know you ended up leaving school once you got signed, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't look.
Did you ever get a chance to go back and be like, hey, you see me? We
Nah,
made it.
that's funny because yeah, I did. That happened after the first single. So my senior year, okay, my junior year, we was working on the album or the album and the new single TJ Nights. So my junior year going into my senior year, that shit dropped. So I came to school with a vinyl. And I was walking around like, with my books, man. I had my vinyl. I was showing everybody, look, man, look. Yeah, man, that's cool, Robert. Hey, we heard you, man. In the summer, we heard you on 991, the radio station. Man, we heard you on Bump It or Dump It, man. And that's dope. And, and it was certain individuals, the cats that said, hey, don't come to me unless I see this and that, whatever. That and the third. They ended up giving me props at the end of the day, man. What could they say?
Right.
Finally, it happened. It took a while, but it happened. And, it was all love after that, man.
Dope.
Cool.
So, two things. Do you remember the first time you heard any one of your songs playing on the radio? Do you remember that moment? How did it feel? And the second question is, where did you guys find Shiro
at? Question one is, yeah, I just remember being played on the radio. They said they were going to put it on Bump It or Dump It. It was a feature, basically smash it or trash it, whatever. Call in. And those days, I remember them playing it. And no, we were in studio, actually. They invited us down to be on Bump It or Dump It. So the calls kept coming in. We slayed it, man. They knew it was from the area. It was a great song. Don't get me wrong. And just everything just came full circle. We ended up getting bumped, but that wasn't the same as listening to the shit in the car or listening to our song at home or just popping up randomly. When I heard that, bro, I was just, fuck. Like, I would just sit, man, in my car. And I think I was so excited that it happened so fast. But it was like, you don't realize, I'm looking out my window. I'm like, I wonder if they bump it. I wonder homie over here got this shit on. I wonder, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I wonder who's hearing this right now. I'm going, this shit's out to millions of people. Like, you think,
right.
Man, this shit's dope. Like, my shit, I've got 5 minutes of their fucking time right now. Like, unless they change the channel, they listen to our shit right now. And I'm going, wow. And sometimes I'll be overly excited. You know what I'm saying? Song be over and I fucking throw the cassette in and just do it again. Just very, very proud. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shiro, though. Shiro came onto the scene when we were in the midst of doing a remix. And remember I said the label was looking for a chorus, a hook for Sunday afternoon. Jammin' James and I, we were on the studio and we're going, damn, we need a singer. And Jammin' James was like, yo, my cousin, she sings. And my manager was like, well, Cliff was like, yo, call her up. So, he hit her up and he was like, yo, what you doing? She was like, nothing, just here. And she had just got off tour with Brandy and she did background sing. She was on tour with Brandy, a couple other groups and a couple commercials here or there. She was already making a way for herself, but she was just off tour and just chilling at home. She was like, no, he was like, why don't you come to the studio? And she was like, for what? And he was like, man, he goes, we need some vocals on this song. He was like, all right. So she pulled up and that was it, man. She got on the track and just lit that motherfucker up.
So, did she continue working with you guys after? Or was it just kind of like a one-off deal?
It was, we later on did another album. I think it was, she was on our first album, Brown and Proud. Our second one, she wasn't with us again. I don't know why she wouldn't be. I don't know if it didn't work out. Um, Financial wise, that was between producers and management, but she wasn't. That's what it was. She ended up getting her own deal. I think she was on Virgin, and
Okay.
through Sunday Afternoon, she was able to link up and get a deal on Virgin Records. So she was doing her own thing. So we didn't do a song with her on the second album, Hip Hop Locals. On the third album, Laying in the Cut either. Um, our fourth album, which was later on, like '97, we linked back up with her, and she was on a song called "Can't Hold It Back"
Okay.
and another song called "They Can't Stand It."
So,
Yeah.
but you guys got a chance to perform like with her singing, or did that work
yeah.
out?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did some shows together. We went on tour.
Nice.
Light
Nice.
stuff. Nothing like having that live vocal track. I will say that.
Yeah. Dope.
Around this time, what would you say your favorite tour lineup or maybe your favorite tour memory was?
Wow, you gonna do that to me? Fuck. There's so many, bro. But the one my go-tos are like there was one time, one show. There was two shows same day. It was a two-parter. It was at Six Flags Magic Mountain out here in Cali, and we were playing with Marky Mark Wahlberg, Funky Bunch.
Nice.
And so we were opening up for them. He had that Good Vibrations song out, and fuck, I was like, damn, this is dope. But we didn't realize that everybody in the crowd there was there to see us, and we didn't witness that until we went out on stage and I was looking behind the curtains. And man, first of all, it was the majority were Hispanics. You know what I'm saying? Chicanos, Mexicanos, you name it, was out there. And we saw big Mexican flags out in the crowd, bro. I shit you. And this is all off of just the fame, popularity of our album. And we're going, damn. Like, all right, let's see how this goes. So the first show comes on. We go on stage. Man, they're rapping. Boom. We do our set. Get off. Marky Mark goes on, headlines, does his thing. And, you know, Mark always had this thing where he takes his shirt off, Mr. Calvin Klein, you know, black
Yeah.
Then the Funky Bunch takes their shirts off and whatever. Well, during that, they're throwing pennies at them. They're throwing coins, like, as in, like, get the fuck, we don't want to see that shit. And obviously, it had to been dudes hating. But after that, in the intermission, he comes over to our dressing room, knocks on the door, and says, yo, what's up, man? I go, hey, what up, Mark? You know, pleasure to meet you. Whoop-de whoop. You know, we're kids, whatnot. And I'm like, damn, homie, that's dope. He's here. I go, what's up? He's all, hey, I'm going to tell you right now, this crowd's yours, bro. He goes, the next show, I'll open up for you guys. And you guys, a headline. That's yours. This is home for you guys. And I was like, that day, bro, I got mad respect for him. And a couple weekends later, we were up in the Bay Area, up in San Jose, and he took us under his wing. You know, we did another joint called Great America. It was like Six Flags up there, amusement park, and we went on the rides with homie. And just like really, you know what I'm saying? He was a really cool dude, man. Always has been. But that's one of my memorable.
Nice.
Yeah.
I won't go through your whole discography of albums, but just to touch on that sophomore album, you know, what kind of success did you guys see with that sophomore album coming from the debut?
Let's see. The singles we had on there was we had Homies. I think Homies was our biggest joint on the Hip Hop Locals album. That album from Brown and Proud was completely two different albums. And why we switched it up, I think my partner Bobby, he wanted to create a different kind of movement, to where it wasn't so, not political. I don't want to use the word, but just so Brown and Proud heavy, to where it was more just, we're hip hop. It's hip hop locals. This is what we were. We got a little, leadway here to, do what we kind of want to do. And he had this idea of creating the hip hop local, and he had the whole dress down. He would dress a certain way, and And me, I was kind of for it, but I was just like, yo, like, I'm cool with it, man, wearing, Dickie shirts and this and that and Dickie pants, but I ain't turning my shit inside out. I don't know. He had this like whole, not the diss, but like this whole crisscross
Chris.
thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, inside out Dickies. And I see what you're trying to do, man, but I'm going to rock with you because you're my partner. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like Big Boy and freaking Andre 3000. You know?
Right.
I always stuck with the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then Andre come out with a kilt or something.
Yeah, he was like fashionista. So, I mean, he tried it, but the album itself, I mean, like I said, we still had our oldies on there. The gente, our fans love us for the Sunday afternoon. So we always try to give them some type of oldie. And there's where we dropped the Smokey Robinson, Tracks on My Tears joint on that. We sampled that. And that's what they ended up wanting. We did a couple of other awareness ones, like just, we had a song called Raise Up. Just being influential, but positive at the same time. We wanted to uplift our people. And that's one thing that Lighter Shade of Brown was known for. We were a household name. You could play us in front of your little kids. You know what I mean? We were radio. We were mainstream. You want to call us soft, call us what you want. But we call it versus style. We don't get it twisted. I was still up in battles, you know what I'm saying, on tour. Like, I didn't give a fuck. Like, this is what I did. I ate and breathed hip hop. So don't go by my fucking songs on the radio. Don't get it twisted, because I still jump in a cypher real quick.
Right.
Freestyle, it's a real freestyle. It ain't that written shit with punchlines like they do nowadays. This is, you know what I'm saying? Right. So that was my whole vibe. And I had to kind of I felt like I had to show and prove that. But at the same token, on our albums, it was a little bit more of a less battle rap. It was more subjected, more, creative. And that came, I got to give that to my manager, Cliff. He always structured the album as, it's okay to explore a little bit, but don't forget, remember your roots from the first album. What got you here?
How'd you guys link up with Muggs on this project?
So we had dropped Spill the Wine, and that was on the first album, Brown and Proud. But then our manager wanted to remix it and put it on the next album. And so we needed a remix to it. So we ended up with two other remixes. One was by Jason Roberts. He was our engineer at the time, who basically mixed our albums for us. And so he ended up supplying a track, and that ended up being the video version for Spill the Rhyme. So we had Spill the Wine remix, and Spill the Rhyme. That was, like I said, our video. Going back to Muggs, Muggs was the hottest thing at the time, production wise. Cypress was already, man, they was taking all. Muggs was doing it, like, at that time you needed a remix from Muggs. It's like Pete Rock, you know what I'm saying? Like, great. Like, Pete Rock was on fucking everything at one point. Muggs was that guy. That sound he had. I mean, look at Cube. You know what I'm saying? Sampled a lot of shit on the Predator album, so we were like, well, we need a hot remix. Who are we gonna go to? We're gonna go to one of the hottest producers right now. So got a hold of Muggs and sent him the track. We ended up redoing our vocals to fit his track. And that was it, man. We met once in the studio and dropped Spill the Wine remix.
Oh.
Just out of curiosity, do you remember, was it hard to clear that sample by Smokey Robinson?
Man, it's always hard to clear a sample by Smokey Robinson.
That's what I'm even surprised. Like, that's pretty dope.
That's funny you pinpoint that artist, because he was one of our most difficult, tasks to do, and to the point where they ended up taking 100%.
I was gonna say that was a huge hit for him too. Like, that song.
We got zero fucking mechanical royalties on that shit, because Smokey took it all, bro.
But looking back on all of that, was it worth it?
Absolutely.
Benefit. No, right. But I mean, at the time, like, were you guys understanding, like, man, he's taking the whole thing, like, or did you understand, like, listen, the bigger picture of letting him get the whole 100% and what it will benefit for you guys?
again, I was young,
So,
dumb,
yeah.
down the ears. I didn't really know what a fucking
You don't
mechanical
understand.
license was. I didn't know what a
Yeah.
royalty was. I
Right.
saw advancements, you know what I'm saying, in my bank
Mhm.
account. Like, and this is why I always tell artists nowadays, just bro, like learn your shit. So
Mhm.
it didn't make a difference to me from Adam. All I just knew that he was taking 100%. Once I knew that, I was like, what the fuck? Bro? Are you
Yeah, did you the next time you heard somebody saying they were sampling something, were you like, no?
Yeah, facts. Interpolations, my guy. Interpolations all day.
That's
Play
crazy.
that shit. Change a
Yeah.
note.
Right.
Um,
That's dope, though, man. I mean, still, to this day, though, at least you can be like, yo, we got a song sampled by Smokey. That shit's crazy.
facts.
Real quick before we move on, my daughter Lana and actually my daughter Sabrina as well both grew up loving this artist that everybody knows as Selena. Can you talk a little bit about how it was for you guys to meet her in person, and how was she? Was she as sweet as she looks, or came across on the TV and everything? You know, how was that experience?
Selena, I have one story for you and one encounter. So we did a Coca-Cola commercial, as I mentioned, and it was with Selena, and it was with Coro freestyle, Latin freestyle singer,
Okay.
Lizette Mendez out of Florida. So a lot of the freestyle artists, Selena, and then Lighter Shade of Brown. We did two versions. We did a Spanish and an English version, and then next thing you know, we go shoot the video, and so we're we pull up to the building in LA, and I remember the video shoot was on like the top floor. So we get in an elevator, and then the doors were about to close, and then boop, they just open up again. It's like, oh, okay, here comes somebody, you know, whatever. In walks the elevator, Selena, her sister Susie, I think her name is.
I think, yeah, I believe so.
She was her sister, the drummer. I think it is Susie, but
Right.
forgive me if it's not. But and then their manager or somebody like the roadie, whatever. So we're chilling, me and Bobby, and then we're going on the top floor. It's quiet, and then Selena looks over at us, says, "Hey, I really like your song, man. They bump it a lot in Corpus Christi. The sweetest voice ever, bro, ever." And I'm like, "Oh my God, can you say that again?" You know what I'm saying? Like, shit. I go, man, she was popping all right. I mean, this was before Dreaming of You. This was her Spanish shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Was on fire. And I was looked at it. I go, yeah. You know, thank you, man. I go, we appreciate that. And you too, man. Congrats on your success. And she was like, yeah, man, that's just the homegirl. She was the homegirl, you know, in the hood, man. Just straight up, you know, respectful, beautiful, fine as fuck, you know what I'm saying, if you will. And just the sweetest voice, man, sweetest person. Her sister, man, I remember like she would always like give us the side eye because, you know, I'm sure she gets it all the time, dudes trying to hit up on her or whatever.
Right.
You know, but that was it, man. We got to the top floor and then we went out and then we shot our scenes and we were just kind of on set. She did her thing, we did ours. Yeah, the other artists came in, and then one other time we had did a show for the Coca-Cola. It was at I want to say it was Disneyland, and they had a show back out there again, and it was with Univision, and we were all backstage again. That was we're chilling back there. We do you remember what's the homegirl's name? Fuentes. Her last name was Fuentes.
Yeah.
DJs, man. Back Daisy Fuentes.
Daisy
Fuentes.
Daisy
Long
Fuentes.
hair, beautiful.
Yeah.
She was there. I met her for the first time, and it was just the greatest feeling. Selena was there, and we were just performing again for them. And again, it was just the sweetest thing, man. We was like breaking bread with each other. It was, you know, eating food backstage, chopping it up, and
yeah,
that was good, man. Great soul right there.
Her sister name it's Suzette. I'm pretty sure they probably called her Susie for short or something.
There you go.
Yeah. Dope. Besides Selena, did you guys get a chance to interact with anybody else? Like, for example, did you ever get to meet Kid Frost or anybody else that you guys came across that acknowledged you guys as far as your music goes and everything?
I've known Frost more than because remember, it's a small circle. This industry, especially for the Latinos. Like, there's not a Latino artist that I haven't met. You feel me? I mean, except nowadays, But back then, there was only so many of us. There was a handful. So yeah, of course I knew Frost. Mello took us under our wing. Long story short, long story longer. We met Frost. Frost had sent us a postcard when we were working on our demo for our first album.
Just the fact that you said a postcard is crazy.
Yeah, right. The dude was in London on tour or some shit. And then like sent us a postcard and we read it. Our manager, I was like, fuck, what's up, man? I heard y'all keep doing the thing, boom, boom, boom. Whatever, just positive type shit. I was like, cool. We were shopping our deal. This is dope. And fast forward, like maybe 8-9 months later, we our songs out, everything's popping. We do our first show with Frost. It's here locally at a lowrider car show. And we go on stage and fucking murder it. We murked that shit. Like, I think Latin Active was just about to come out. And you know what I'm saying? We do our thing, come off. Frost does his thing, comes off, walks over to us, and he's sitting down right there. And I looked at him. I went over to shake his hand. I said, "What's up, Frost? Hey, man, I just want you to know, brother, thank you for that postcard. Man, I won't ever forget that. You know what I mean? Receiving that. I was dope that you looked out for us." And I noticed that his demeanor was different. It was more just like yeah, whatever, And to the point where he shook my hand and didn't look me in my eye. And that says a lot. I'm big on that. Like, when you shake somebody's hand, you look them in their eye, you say, "What's up?" Or good thank you or whatever. This dude was just like, "All right, man," gets up and he walks off. And then I go, "Motherfucker." He's fucking hating, dog. Just because I know that's what it is. You see these two young motherfuckers up there rocking shit. Got all the, fucking girls in the crowd going crazy. You know what I'm saying? We only fucking 17, 18.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We know, and so I was like, I got your number. But then later on, fast forward a few months later, we had a couple run-ins with Frost, believe it or not, bro. I think this was like the first Latin beef. Like, he just never got over it. He could never accept the fact. Come to find out, and I don't know if it goes in this order, but like, we had met Mello Menace, and Mello Menace took us under his wing. Mello has always been cool. That's my brother, man, to this day. Like, and Mello was real cool. I go kick it with him on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? I pull up to his crib. We go to different spots, clubs, whatever. He was, he showed me. I remember being in his apartment when he was working on his Capitol new album coming out. And anyway, we did this. He called me one day. Check this out. He said, "Yo," he goes, "I'm going to do this this segment. You remember the show? What was it called? It was hosted by D, the girl. She got D Barnes. It was called Pump It Up.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So he goes. They was about to do a Latino segment of Latin rappers.
Okay.
And we were all on the West Coast, so we all got invited. Except us. But Mello invited us. Said, "Yo, come along with us." Me and Julio G. Shout out to Julio G. We're gonna drive up there. It's in Hollywood or whatever. It's at this rec club. I said, "All right, bet." So we walk in, and who do we see? Frost is over there, man. I go, "Fuck God, but this motherfucker off the trip." I go, "Man, I didn't come here for this, man." And he was like, "Man, don't even worry about it. You with me." Mello and him were cool, but they're like hit or miss even to this day. They're on and off with their relationship. And I blame that mainly on Frost, man, because the dude's like, he's bipolar at some point, man. But love that dude. Love Duty. But like I said, he's hit or miss. So we walk in, join Booyah Tribes over there. They're chilling. The Mexicans, they're chilling over there. It's another group from out this way. I think Delinquent Habits are chilling as well, Chemo and Homeboy. And so it was like, all right, bet. Filling the room out. Ross sees us right away. He has a pool stick in his hand. And he goes, yo, man, why the fuck you bring these motherfuckers and this and that, whatever? And Mello stood up for us. He was like, yo, motherfucker, chill. Like, they with fucking me. That's why. They with me and Julio. So then Frost wanted to start shit with Mello.
Oh, wow, damn.
Mello Frost picks up a pool stick and about to swing this shit at Mello. Like, this is all going down. Mind you, D Barnes and her whole crew's seeing what the fuck's going on. We hadn't even started filming it. She sees this shit. Here comes one of the homies, I forgot who was, from Booyah Tribe, gets in the middle of Frost and Mellow Mayonnaise. He said, yo. Tells Frost, you ain't doing that. You ain't doing that here, man. And that was it. I think Frost put the pool stick down. He went that way. Mello came our way. D Barnes comes over. They canceled the whole shit.
Oh.
They said, I ain't having another fucking NWA moment. Because remember, she got snapped.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm not, this is it.
Right.
I'm not going through this again. So they canceled it, man. And that shit never came out.
Oh, that's great. Wait, so right now, current present time, you and Frost cool, not cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, Frost is he's the type of guy where and I say this with experience because I've seen it with others too. He has to warm up to you. He's not just gonna let you in his circle.
Yeah.
He's gonna give you that chip on the shoulder, like you ain't shit type shit until you prove it. I'm Frost, motherfucker. I'm the father of this shit. Like that's how he comes across. And but at the end of the day, and mind you, after this, like we were on tour, he was dissing us left and right on stage. Back in those days, there was no social media. So he'd go to a town, city, we'd come there the next week, come to find out Frost was dissing us on stage.
Damn.
So
okay.
You know, diss this fat motherfucker back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how it went. So it was like the city was crazy. And the mouth. I know, man. But later on, somehow, some way, it was just one of those deals where we ended up back in the studio again. I'll tell you what, prior to that, we were on a plane to San Jose. It was Lighter Shade of Brown, Be Real from Cypress Hill. Be Real, they had just dropped their album. I think they just had the Killer Man joint out. I don't even think the album was out yet. It was about ready because we're like 8 months apart. Our albums. And then, so Be Real sitting next to me, Mello sitting right up here, and then Frost is all the way in the corner. Nobody's talking to Frost because he's just, you know what I'm saying? He played himself. You know what I mean? Like everybody's just upset at him at this point just for being an asshole. You know what I'm saying? And so Be Real's right there next to me telling me, yo, check this out, man. I got something for Fat Boy up there. I go, what you mean? He goes, look, he was already writing the diss song for Frost. And it's that line where it goes, he goes, watch. He goes, because a bullet, he said, because a bulletproof vest ain't shit when the infrared is pointing at your head, kid. And I remember him telling me that line, and that shit came out later on. I was like, bro. I go, Frost ain't got no fucking, he ain't got nowhere to go now, man. So I think that humbled him. When he see we were all against him, he humbled himself. And before you knew it, less than a year later, we were all in the studio making music together. And we ended up doing a joint together. So shit, my mom ended up booking shows. My mom booked a lot of shows for us. And you know, in the future. So she booked shows, my mom, for Frost. She was always talking. So he couldn't help but be cool. You know what I'm saying? Okay. My mom was in pocket.
You okay with us putting this story out? I don't want him to like hear it and kind of tweak. Like, no, you know what, man?
I'm waiting for, man, I've said this so many times. I'm waiting, you know. What's he gonna do?
I'm joking. I mean, I'm just
he knows it's the truth. Right. But Frost don't do fucking podcasts, bro. Like he don't clap back, or if he got an issue, he got my number. Put it
right.
But it's the truth.
Right. No, yeah.
And I say that to end it with a positive. Like Frost, to me, will always be that dude who sent us the postcard. Will always be the first to start that wave for me.
Right. For sure.
I
For
give
sure.
him his props,
No
whether he
doubt.
wants to accept them or not. You know, and I do that. It's kind of like that big brother, like just motherfucker. Like one day he's hit or miss. You don't know what attitude he's gonna wake up with, but that's still your brother.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't mean to say all this fucking negative, but you asked me what my relationship was. Now fast forwarding, like I can call Frost at any time. We're good. You know, there's
Dope,
no
dope.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? On this side anyway.
Dope.
You guys went on to drop albums in 94, 97, 99. By the time we get to 2011, I believe you did that project by yourself. What's going on with you internally with the group?
So in 2011, what we drop in 2011?
It's a rap? Nope.
Nah, that was probably Bobby.
Okay.
See, there was a time where so we did our last album in 99. That was with Greenside Records. It was a 2-album deal. It was Lighter Shade of Brown, the self-title, and then our last one, If You Could See Inside Me. And then I was producing at the time. I was really into my own solo shit at the time. Because there was a gap where Bobby and I split. And that was from like 94 to like 97. And during that time, I had developed my production skills. Because I already had produced Hey DJ for us. You know what I'm saying? The Malcolm McLaren joint. I produced If You Want to Groove, Dip Into My Ride. Like these singles from like that album on Mercury. Because we ended up doing an album with Mercury, Polygram. And so I was getting a lot more work, production side. So I found a new thing. So I was doing all that, got my studio, man. I said, you know what, man? I'm cool on rapping. I'm just going to produce. So then I went on to produce a lot of like West Coast acts, in the Chicano world, like Slow Pain, rest in peace. You got a lot of the rappers from San Diego, like Mr. Shadow, Little One, Night Owl, just all these rappers that are Conejo, you know what I'm saying? They all start. Mr. Capone, he's like a Chicano gangster rap, started that whole Chicano rap thing later on in 2000s, but they all started at my crib. And so I was cool on it. I was still writing, I was still rapping, doing features, but then Bobby had hit me one day after 3 years. It was like, yo, I got a deal on the table, man. It's XYZ. I can have 20,000 in your bank account tomorrow. I was broke like a fucking joke at the time, mind you. So when that shit hits, you're going down. I'm wearing the same fucking British Knights, homie, for like the last 3 months, 4 months, and trying to keep those shits clean. And I was like down in my red cent. So I was like, let's fucking go. So we did that deal, recorded the album up in the Bay Area in Oakland, and Greenside Records. That's where we did those 2 albums. Boom, boom. Well, the label really had no strength pushing our albums. So we had a couple songs on there, Sunny Day, Whatever You Want. We did with Dwayne Wiggins of Tony. And it was just a rap. My studio, it was there, it was cool, but I always wanted to do radio. I always had an interest of doing radio, getting into radio, being a radio jock. So I got a call one day from my program director at the time, Jesse Duran, here locally. He goes, yo, remember when I asked you 5 years ago, man, I said, where do you see yourself? And you told me doing your job, because I did. And he was like, yeah. And he goes, want a shot? I go, fuck, let's go. And there's an opportunity. I looked at Bobby, I said, yo, let's go do radio, man. This is going to open some more doors for us for our music. He didn't want to do it. Just wasn't enough money for him in it and this and that. And I couldn't sell him on it. So I said, you know what? It's something that I always wanted to do. I'm going to go ahead and take this route. So after being together for 2 years, I jumped into the radio booth, and there's where I started my radio career. And during that time, I want to say 23 years of me doing radio, Bobby was carrying on the name. So he was doing shows. So that 2011 thing you're talking about, that's probably him. I was in radio from 2000 to 2023. and I dropped one solo album, and that was it.
Right. He passed 2016, I believe. What was your relationship like at that time?
So this is how God works, man, and I believe in that. 2015 came around, 2014 came around, and somebody wanted us to do shows because I was down to do shows again, and somebody had got at him or got at me, and I started getting that itch again. Like I want to perform again. Radio shit's cool, but I'm missing that element, and somehow him and I got together. I think it was Art LeBeau. Art LeBeau, rest in peace. It was his tour. It was in Vegas, and they wanted the both of us together. So they were like, "Yo, could you possibly get your partner?" I go, "Man, I don't know. I haven't talked to this fool in years." I'm like, I could try to get a hold of him. So I hit him, ended up getting a hold of him. So we chopped it up for a good 2 hours on the phone, man, just caught up. And then we ended up doing that show, got back together. Lou Pizarro is a actor / producer in the game. He had a very popular show called Operation Repo. He took liking to our group. He's a big fan. He said, "Look, I want to do a document. I want to do a reality series on you. Remember like what TLC was doing? They had like a road to coming back on VH1 and whatnot. He wanted that with Lighter Shade of Brown. Like, y'all here, you guys are fucking staples in the industry, man. You're touring again. This is great. Perfect opportunity to get you guys back in the studio, get you on film, and let's rock and roll one more shot." So it was like, bet. So 2015, we're filming. He's coming with us. We're doing shows. We're doing this and that here and there. There's where I found out. Well, I already knew when I was in radio, Bobby was on the road, man. He was out there fucking up. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that, just not showing up to shows, showing up late, just getting just faded, locking himself up here or there, sleeping on different couches. So when I would hear shows, "Oh, y'all coming to Texas? Oh, y'all coming to Shocktown?" No, that's him. I always point the finger because I ain't doing shows. He's doing it. He would bring whoever on the show, but he would call it Lighter Shade of Brown. So they would assume. And so Lou didn't know about his disease, but Bobby made it perfectly clear, like, "Look, man, what I am is a binge drinker." You know, he used to smoke weed, and he was better off doing that. But the reason why he stopped was because his son saw him on the patio balcony one time smoking. And he said that he asked him, "What is that, Dad?" So since that point, he put the joint down and picked up the fucking bottle. And there's where his downfall. There's where everything just started. It just hit him differently. So fast forwarding, you know, we're filming this series, and he ends up in a rehab. This is all on film. And so he's going through it. Producers are going through it with it. I'm going to visit him, this and that. And it's really, really sad all the way up until his death, his funeral. And which was, 2016. And this is all part of the now what we call documentary. And actually, we just debuted it recently on this ship. We went on a cruise, an old school cruise, and we debuted it in the theater there and for the first time. And anyways, it's a 90-minute documentary. It shows everything that was going on during those 3-4 months. It's called Lighter Shade of Reality. And so that kind of, it just we lost our brother at that point, and that was really all it was. I took a big ass break because we had started doing we were getting shows left and right, man. People wanted to see us, man. That 90s was, vibe was just hitting again. And then that happened with his passing, and I was like, yo, man, I don't know what to do. I'll go on social media, like, do I continue this? How am I going to tour without? Well, I'm like, well, shit. Like he did it for so many years. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if I feel right doing it. And then I ended up meeting this cat named Money Moons. and he's local here. Turns out he was trying to shop his record to me at radio. And I go, you know what, bro? I go, you say you pretty dope, man. Like you got a dope ass, you know what I'm saying, spit, bro. And he was like, man, I grew up on all your shit. I go, you lying, man. I go, I would name just like off the wall songs, and he would spit the lyrics like word for fucking word. Like I can't even remember that shit because I'm older now. Like you know what I'm saying? This fool spit that shit. I go, bro, I tell you what, would you want to come on the road and not necessarily replace DWTX, but just kind of do the show with me, man, and be a hype man, so to speak. Because what am I gonna do? Like I'm out there, man, fuck, I can't even trying to catch my breath. You need a hype man, you know. If you know,
right.
So he Blas, man, he came on the road with me, and he's been with me since 2020, end of 2016, bro, and it's been nothing but just greatness. He was a blessing, I call him, dog. Like he's the reason why I got back in the studio. You know, I'm doing beats again. You know, we doing songs again. You know, to where that's what Bobby wanted to do when we kind of reunited. But like I told him, Bobby, I said at the time, bro, I want to see if we can even tour off the old shit. I want you to show me that you've changed, or that you can, you know what I'm saying, hold up. And unfortunately, we didn't get that chance. It didn't happen. So anyway, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's where we at today.
When can we expect that documentary? Worldwide.
So here's the deal, man. We going through licensing, fucking issues, man, with the songs, and I'm in the process of right now getting those masters back in my possession because it's been over 30 years, and I think they come back. It's just I'm looking and I'm seeing all kinds of labels tagged on our shit, different videos on Young. Who the fuck is this? Like, who is this? Like, how do they have a hand? And that's just from our shit just probably being tossed around at different labels. So once we get a hand on that, then we'll definitely release that. But this shit's been done since 2016, bro. So now what we are going to do, what I'm going to do is finally I'm able to get my boy, shout outs to Lou Pizarro, producer. He told me before this cruise, he goes, bro, we're going to do the cruise, see what it's like. He goes, after that, I'm going to give you the fucking master key, the video. Go on tour with this shit, bro. People need to see this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that's a dope idea. So instead of it being on Netflix and Hulu, until then, we're just going to like fucking...
Like have it playing or something in the background type thing, you mean? Or?
No, bro. Like literally set up shop at a fucking town where like a tour.
Right.
So
okay.
Hey, yo, check this out. Saturday we in your town. We perform. It's Sunday. Come check the movie out with us. We're gonna be at Fox Theater, and come see the 90-minute movie. And then boom, we sign. We sign our posters. We do a meet and greet. We do a Q&A. And I think that's just the way, at least, so it could be seen. And then maybe eventually these motherfuckers, I don't know how we'll go about it, but since he gave me the key, I might as well just fucking upload that bitch to like YouTube. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's dope.
What ODM is up to, and talk a little bit about your podcast.
So right here, I'm sitting in the vicinity, bro. We call it the Blockout Podcast. Right here, and give you a little something. Go follow the Blockout. Boom, boom, boom. So if you see, man, it's a clock. A lot of people go, how'd you come up with the name? I said, look, man, when we were recording our albums back in the day, they would say, look, we got a block, man. We got a block from midnight to 8 a.m. So it's a block out of time. So that's what the clock represents. It's a block out of time that I have now. Then it was music, but now with my guests and with my viewers. So simple, nothing too crazy. Just call it the Blackout. So now, man, we've been on YouTube, all streaming platforms for coming up on 2 years now. We're doing decent. We're getting some decent numbers. Shout outs to all the blockheads out there. If you know, man. And, we do everything. We cover everything, current events, what's going on in the world, just anything from Drake and Kendrick to fucking, you know what I'm saying, to what's mama cooking in the cocina. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just keep it really authentic, and it's also a good way to promote whatever music we got going on as well. So we have guests that come on in person. We go live every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So with that being said, we were able to take calls. You know what I'm saying? We love lighting up the super chat and just kind of engaging with our audiences that way. But again, it's just a platform to be a little bit more personal, off the mic, if you will, like on shows and whatnot. I mean, we got a lot of cats. Obviously, we have a heavy fan base, so they tap in with us and they call in, or they'll be in the super chat, and it's another way I get to engage with them, or if not, my guests. So we have anywhere from, like, we just had let's see, Panchito Gomez, he part of American Me, the whole movie Vida Loca cast, which we had 2 songs on that soundtrack, and then we dibble dabble with some newer artists as well. But I mean, it's just another platform to be heard, be seen, you know what I mean, and get your shit out there.
Oh.
That's what it is. So,
quick question: you said the radio you did up until 2023. Like you don't do the radio anymore?
Nah, brother. They so the company I was working for, they we just saw it coming, bro, and radio is just kind of doing a spiral. It's been spiraling down. We see it. And I think that the only thing that's really keeping it alive is it's free.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, radio will always be free in cars, no matter where. Like, everybody's got a radio somewhere. But on the flip side, I mean, 23 years is a long ass time, man.
Oh, yeah.
Same radio station. I did radio in LA for about 8 years. I got to Kiss FM in LA. And that was a hell of a ride too. I basically accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish as far as being an on-air DJ.
Okay.
Behind the scenes, I was music director for about maybe 5 or 6 years as well. I, however, enjoy being the talent. I love doing that. I love learning, but at the same token, like, this is me right here. But now that your boys, hit 50, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, all right, time to get behind the mic and discover some new talent. To where I just want to run the business, bro. You know what I'm saying? And just come up with some creative ideas how we can discover newer talent and just basically take what I've learned and pass on to the next generation, and do it that way. But I mean, I'll tell you one thing, the work doesn't stop. Like we started at the beginning of this interview, it's a fucking grind, bro. Because I will tell you this, it's a lot easier when you go and show up, you do your work on radio and get a check and go home, to where now it's like, yeah, I own my shit, but now I'm going from 1 hat to 10 hats. You know what I'm saying? So you just doing everything. There's the social media, there's that push, there's just all like the reels, the video editing, the structuring of time, who's coming in. On top of that, my other half of the studio is a recording studio. So
okay.
Offer, recording, you want to come lay down some shit, do that as well. I also produce beats as well, but I think I will never stop doing that. I just love it too much.
So,
No doubt.
Forms, can you tell us where we can find you at moving in the future?
Just social media, bro. I mean, we put up, as far as Lighter Shade of Brown, we have a website, lightershadofbrown.com. You can find our tour dates, our merch, songs, new videos, all of that up on there. As far as me personal, it's The Real ODM. That's my personal social media. And then of course the Blackout podcast, we still really pushing that as well, man. And I feel you on that. Like 2 years. And you ever, I ain't even gonna lie, sometimes I'll look at other people and go, fuck, these motherfuckers got how many? Like, what the fuck they doing? I'll be honest with you, brother. Like, there's so many different niches out there. There's so many cats for podcasting. And I don't even like to call it a podcasting, because one thing I failed to mention is when I came into this podcast, I didn't want to make it a podcast. I wanted to make it a network. I wanted to make it a channel. And what I mean by that is having other guests on there. I mean, you've seen it with No Jumpers. You've seen it with, No Jumpers is the perfect one. I can, a lot of there's different shows on there, but it's still No Jumper, the channel. Like, I wanted my shit just busy every single day. Blockouts every Monday. We live at 8. But now I've got Movies y Mas, which is a movie feature for the movie buff heads out there. I got Books for Crooks, which my girl Bella, she hosts. It's basically a read-along Audible, and she takes different chapters of like gangster stories, books. And it brings awareness. It's positive, because I'm gonna be honest with you. One thing, if you watch the block out, is there's no drama, bro. Like, we don't. Like, right now, there's so much beef right now, bro. People just want to clip your shit and start beef.
Yeah.
And within the Latino community, like a lot of these podcasts out here, bro, they just going at each other's throats, bro. And I'm like, how you fucking sleep at night? Like, I know your ass ain't coming out the house ever.
That's the hot content right now for a lot of those platforms. Is that it's this host beefing with the other hosts, and I hear
It's your cat, it's your thumbnail, and you're using their faces as your thumbnail and catchy title. You could still fucking do that, but positivity, okay, negativity, I get it. It's gonna travel faster than positivity.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I'm cool. Me personally, I'm cool, bro. I don't need to fish that. Now, if you come on my podcast and you show your ass, that's on you. Like, it's free game. You know what I'm saying? I went to this podcast the other day. We was in Texas, and it's called Boss Talk 101. Shout outs to my guy, man, E, and his girl. And they over like 100,000 subs, man. They the hottest thing in Texas, man, out there. And I pull up, and my man right away shoots me with a what do you call it? Has me sign a
like a
disclaimer or whatever.
Disclaimer, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, NDA, but whatever the fuck that shit was.
Yeah.
Just because I said, "What's this for?" He goes, "Brother, you ain't up on this?" I said, "What is it?" He goes, "Man," he goes, "one of my clips blow up, or one of my videos blow up. This just says you can't come back and fucking sue me or some shit because we're using your content. It's your face." I go, man. And they used to do that shit when we were on TV shows back in the day too.
Yeah.
TV show, they'd have us sign us this, same shit. So I'm like, that's dope. He goes, "Bro, hit me anytime you hear." Like, that dude got some knowledge. Shout out to Boss Talk 101. But yeah, man, we just learn every day, bro. And that's really all. I just say keep going, G. I mean, it's a platform, but be on all those platforms, and when you can, just make it quality, man. And be what you guys. You guys seem like some cool, positive. We can kick it and have a beer. You know what I'm saying? Chill.
Right.
Hip hop with y'all, old school hip hop, like, you know what I'm saying, all night. You know what I mean? I love those stories, bro. And that's the thing. Like, know who your audience is. I always say that, because you could be going after a certain audience, but man, like, it could be a different demographic that's following you. Like, go with what works. Like with me, I feel like I'm stuck in between, because I did radio for so long, trying to keep up with the newer hip hop, but yet my fan base is growing with me, and they in their 40s. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't want to hear about fucking
Little Uzi Bird
or you know what I'm saying? Like, little, you know what I mean? Like, they want to hear, man, bro, talk about fucking this, you know what I'm saying? Grandpa, when you hung out with Grand Poop, or when you was in that Tupac circle with fucking Tupac and Gangstar and Farside, like. And then we start getting into like growing up, how we grew up, frying bologna over a stove, bringing that old school shit on me, like, and shit that they can relate to, and you'll figure it out, you know what I mean? But you just look at your analytics too, because that helps.
Yeah.
Well, ODM, we want to, thank you for everything you've done for culture. Thank you for spending this evening with us, dropping jewels and gems, and congratulations on everything you have going on this year.
Sincere, Uncle E.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. It's truly a pleasure and an honor to be able to speak to you, man. Thank you.
Anything else? We good?
Nah, we're good. We're good. You gave us more than enough, man. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, make sure you tag me, brother, when that shit drops, so I can repost it now.
No doubt.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. God bless.